Good morning from chilly Liverpool. Now today we do have the game in our hands. Liverpool plays Brentford. We need to get our slushy. But where? Let me tell you, man, when it's early in the morning, probably the train station is your best bet. The city is quite modern. You won't find narrow streets of cobblestone here. Check out Vicky. She looks kind of pissed off. Check out George with my scarf, man. Isn't he cool? Let me tell you, man, you never really get to see this area so empty. I mean, you do have to wake up early. And since we are here and alone, let's have a chat about how this whole area used to be.
Every day, 15 or 20 ships arrive with cargoes we need. Every day, 15 or 20 other ships sail, taking away the things other countries need from us.
If you search for photographs from back in the 60s and you type Liverpool docks, chances are that you will find images that they don't look like the 60s, you know? They look more like, I don't know, America's Great Depression era or from the beginning of the century. That was the level of struggle and poverty in this city. Let me tell you, back then, if you were a man working the docks, your life would be a continuous struggle. There weren't many chances to work. You would appear here in this area every morning with the hope that you would be chosen to work for the day. Now, the kind of work you had to do was basically load and offload cargo from ships. All this with your bare hands. If for one reason or another you weren't chosen, then all sorts of conspiracy thinking would start. Why was he chosen and not me? What kind of relationships under the table he has and I don't? And all that stuff. Now, working the docks basically fed Liverpool people and Liverpool families for years and years and years. And the biggest drama in their lives came when what we all know today as the container appeared. With the appearance of the container, suddenly you didn't need dockers anymore. You had cranes doing the work for you. Now behind me is the very well-known Albert Dock. It was used as storage for goods for many, many years until it was closed back in 1972. And believe it or not, it was left to decay. Much like Maggie once said about Liverpool, let them slowly decay. For most of you, probably the definition of the expression workhorse is well known. Well, this one here is exactly that. Only in this case, the workhorse was not only an animal. There were animals and thousands of people doing the thing together. Now, the Albert Dock, as you see today, started redeveloping back in the 80s. This is the place where everybody expresses their love. Whoa! This is quite an old one. And more recent ones, H&G, Kiss You Forever, since 29 June 2019. Kiss You Forever. Well, you have that too. Much like any port with a minimum of self-respect. Liverpool also has a statue of the king, like Genoa, like Hamburg. The king is quite silent nowadays. And let me tell you, man, Albert Dock was ideal for storage in goods. It's basically the first of its kind to be built with cast iron, bricks and stone, which made it basically fireproof. Albert Dock now is full of galleries, shops and cafes, which unfortunately are now pretty much closed because we are very early to avoid the crowds. Now we avoid the cafes also. Check it out, man. We found Rubens, we found coffee and breakfast and everything. Now let me tell you, if you eat this, you probably don't need to eat the rest of the day. Let me show you something interesting, man. I mean, behind me is the Maritime Museum, the Albert Dock, and the museum. If you have a closer look to some of the details, look at this here. Or there. All these are marks from the Blitz. Now, if you remember from yesterday the story of young William, so we stopped the narration back when young William was offered the opportunity from his uncle for work. And then he decided to blackmail him because he didn't like the work. Talking about life-defining moments with this story. What to do to make your life better. Blackmail Adolf. He fled Germany and he ended up in the US. A couple of years later, World War II started, the Blitz happened, and young William in the United States is writing letters to the president, explaining how much he hates his madman of uncle, how much he supports the Allies against his uncle. And eventually he gets drafted to the US Army to fight against his uncle. Yeah. That's the rest of the story of young William. Now we're leaving behind the waterfront and heading on foot to Anfield. Let's have a chat about a couple of things that concern me as a football fan. When I came here for the first time, I remember overhearing a fan of West Bromwich Albion accusing me, now not me directly, but people like me who visit Liverpool to watch the games, as tourists. And we basically are. I remember them singing, "You're not from Liverpool," you know? Which is true. However, we actually care about the club. When we get ticket allocation to the Cop, trust me, we never sit down. I mean, I bloody know all the songs. So it's somewhat offending, you know? Now, on the other hand, where I have the ticket today, which is the King Kenny's stand, I'm not entirely sure what kind of atmosphere we get there, but we'll see. We also had dreams and songs to sing, you know? So, yeah, tourist or not, we are here for the club. And regarding the atmosphere, if you want my humble opinion, it's really a pity that England hasn't welcomed what is welcome in Scotland. I mean, the Scottish team have an amazing atmosphere, even the small ones. Check it out, man, you can actually see the Everton Stadium from here. Check out this gorgeous building, man. Mere Lane, the Mere Bank. Wow, what a beauty. We're getting there. I can see Anfield from here. Check it out, man. The same containers that basically took the job of the dockers now work as canteens, I guess. How are you there, Bill? All good. Check it out, man. This is the Hillsborough Memorial. Now pay attention to this guy, man. Andrew Stanley Devine. Andrew Devine was the 97th victim of Hillsborough. Can you believe that? 32 years after this disaster happened, he was on life support with his family and passed away 3 years ago. Now, a lot of you probably have seen the photo of an Everton fan sitting at a Cop. Let me show you something. Michael Kelly died in Sheffield on that horrible day. His brother, Stephen Kelly, was and has been an Everton supporter. And Stephen went down to Sheffield to basically find out what happened to his brother. Upon arrival, he was immediately questioned by the police. Did your brother frequent the pub before the games? Did he like to drink before the games? Now Steve Kelly, in all his innocence, replied sincerely. He said yes. Who doesn't? Little did he know that this was all part of the narrative. The narrative that said that drunk Liverpool supporters without tickets did this and that. Steve Kelly's story is horrendous. I have no words about it. All right, so I'm gonna leave you now and go back to a couple of days earlier. See you soon. Wonder what he's thinking. Check out Fagan, man. I find it absolutely impossible to believe that they never let Fagan say his goodbyes with Hazel and all. We're doing this.
He likes his fight in the crowds and that.
We're making transfers. Evaluating the team. Look, I have the hair. Useful. Thanks. Let's see where Messi was so pissed off. So this is the place. He was cursing here.
Don't like them.
Doctor, why do we have so many injuries? Can I ask you something?
Yes, of course, yes.
When Klopp arrived,
Yeah.
he mentioned a lot, the concept of everybody's important.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel that?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. First thing he did at the training ground, he included everybody. The players had to, and they had socials, so they all get to know each other. Wasn't quite like that before. It used to be when Shankly was the manager.
Yeah,
Bill Shankly, the match start of the journey that Jurgen's continuing.
I'm coming from Glenbuck, by the way.
Yeah.
I went there to live.
From the second division. Second division to league champions. First FA Cup, first European trophy. He was incredibly humble. So was his trusty lieutenant who took it up to another level, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, all the boot room boys. Their coaches, John Bennison, Ronnie Moran, Roy Evans. It's the way that they think.
Welcome to Glenbuck. Glenbuck is a heritage village, which means that they basically commemorate the glorious past, which was a past of mining. Look at this. Bill Shankly was born here with his family. They were working the mines, which basically made of him a very tough man, let's say. Because let's face it, you and me grew up sitting on the sofa. Now, maybe not you, me definitely. We can't really understand the hardship. Now, in front of me, there is a very peculiar stone erected by the people of Glenbuck to commemorate the 16th year of Her Majesty's reign. First of all, it's tilted, probably representing the not so straightforward relationship, let's say, between these parts of the kingdom and Buckingham. Now this here is interesting. Look at this. The Glenbuck Cherry Pickers. Cherry Pickers was the name of the local team. Look at all of them. So here we go. We have Mr. Alex Shankly, James, John, Robert, Willie. That's our guy. Founded in the late 1870s. It's even older than Liverpool. At the end of the working day, they spent all their time on the football pitch, playing rival teams from neighboring mines. Shankly said at one point that at their peak, all 5 of them could compete with absolutely anyone. They were basically great football players. I mean, oh, check this out, man. Wow, this is insane. This is the memorial of Bill Shankly. Look at all the scarves. Hi. Where are you from?
Near Paris, in France.
Oh, in France. Oh, sorry.
No,
Je ne parle
pas français.
I
I don't speak very well English. But I come to see this.
To see, yes.
Yes.
Great pleasure to meet you. Enjoy. Take care. Check this out, man. I mean, look how much time this is. I mean, this one is new. I mean, you can also actually see it from the color. But these, I mean, this one here, I can. Wow. Yeah, man. Kennedy. And this is our guy, man. Look at him. This is Shankly. I came here with 2 memorabilia to pay the respects. One I left at Hillsborough, this one, the flag, which was the flag that I bought at the very first game of Liverpool Football Club that I actually witnessed in my life. There's our flag. By the way, he was born here. He wasn't buried here. He was cremated, and his ashes were spread all over the Kop at Anfield, which, by the way, was also an idea of his to basically open the stadium to the community. A lot of Liverpool supporters' families, when somebody would pass away, they would basically cremate them and spread their ashes in Anfield. This is the place where the village stood and is not standing anymore. Now, there's also a funny story about Shankly. When he resigned, let's just say that this decision was not 100% in his head yet. So after his resignation, the following years, his friend and assistant, Bob Paisley, took over the club. Now, Bob Paisley basically won absolutely everything with the club. European Cups, leagues, whatever. He's the most successful manager of Liverpool till now.
Celtic.
He doesn't agree, you see? He doesn't agree.
It's definitely Celtic.
Take care, guys. Thanks a lot. Now, as I was saying, Shankly didn't really want to leave. I mean, he would appear everywhere. He would appear to games of Liverpool uninvited. He would come to watch games. He would go to training sessions, which was a little bit funny because when he was the manager, he was basically giving instructions to his crew how the training was supposed to take place. After he resigned, he was actually going to Melwood and give instructions to the players. A lot of the football players would call him coach, boss or something, which was of course undermining the authority of Bob Paisley. And at one point, Bob Paisley was fuming because, what the hell, you resign, mate. Klopp, so far, is honoring his decision, and he stays away and watches from a distance to what my fellow hairless Arne Slot is doing.
I think we've had enough now.
All right, this is my guy. Should this be the thumbnail?
We have to work together to do it, yeah? Mine is like... Yeah, that's fine. Ready, go! Come on, go!
To be fair, I think only Real Madrid can be more intimidating than this. I was there, you know. Check out Pepman. Get in there, Costas, get in there. Doesn't look so big, does it? Can I ask something? Are they going to build up the Cope also? I mean, now it looks a little bit small now.
What they might do, we're not sure yet. It shows how much media and how much coverage the Premier League has now.
So back in 2005, Liverpool played Juventus. For the first time after Hazel, it was decided by both clubs to make this game a reconciliation game, let's say. So we had a huge choreography with the word friendship, amicizia, from the Cop. We had Ian Rush and Michel Platini holding banners, and we had a lot of Juventus supporters clapping, and some of them ignoring the whole thing and turning their backs or raising their middle finger. All of that is to be expected. I just want to say the following thing. Back in the day, there was a documentary in Italian called Ragazzi di Stadio. And in that documentary, which basically shows the beginning of the ultras movement in Italy, a certain figure called Beppe Rossi, which was a pioneer of the Juventus Ultras, is talking about Liverpool and about the Spion Cop with profound admiration. He's actually doing that while holding and listening to a Pink Floyd album. I guess different times, different eras.
Molto bene il tifo del Liverpool. È il tifo che piacerebbe proprio a me, il tifo che dovrebbe gridare tutta la curva.
So in typical English fashion, the weather is miserable. Never walk dry. Welcome to the Anfield fan zone, man. Let's actually walk through the gate for a change. first 10 minutes were power. Really enjoyed the atmosphere. After that, now we're flooding the pitch. Could be offside goal.
Super. Finish it, Bonito. Come on, Cody.
There were moments that the place was buzzing, and I will definitely miss it. I have no idea when I'm coming back to Anfield. And there were moments that it was more than lethargic, let's say. That's one. Second, the team looks good, man. I mean, it's probably early to sing the name of Arne Slot, and I think that the song from the Cup is more of an attribute to Klopp, because Jurgen asked for it. But yeah, I think it's early for Slot to be sung, you know. But whatever, man. I mean, the team is looking good. So yeah, that's it from Liverpool, from this glorious place in the park. See you in the next one. Bye bye.